Hey everyone, let's get our mixed media messy on. So I've got a fun little project today using the November kits. I'm just going to cut my paper down so that it is 12 by 12. And I'm going to use the Vicky Budin pigment powders and experiment with them. I sort of wanted to have a look at the photos that I'd had printed. I've just got a random pile of photos printed. And to find something crafty or arty, and I found these 3 photos. They're all 3 the same photo, but they're all different sizes. So like one's 4 by 4, I think probably 3 by 3, and probably a 2 by 2, something along those lines. But I thought it looked really interesting and different to have the 3 of them going like that across the page, and I wanted to work with that as something different. So I've just put some little lines around the corners of where the photos could sit randomly, and I'm going to go around using that as the guide. Now I've just put some texture paste on my mat here and put a whole pile of that pigment powder because I want a bright colour. I did add some water to the pigment powder just because I experimented a little bit before. In fact, I did a page and I hated it. And so I just found the colour was brighter if I wet the colour first. So just a little bit of wetness, not heaps, because obviously you're mixing it into texture paper. So you don't want to, texture paste, I mean. You don't want it too wet that your texture paste becomes really wet and doesn't ever dry or hold its thickness. So I'm just going to go around where these lines are. I want to have some randomness to it, so some things that are horizontal and some that are vertical. So I'm just having a little play with that. It's really fun just to use your spatula and to apply texture paste. I think it's really easy, really fun, and it just gives you that really random but cool messy look. So you can see there, going around, just adding it on. Now as always, I did make a bit more than I need, and I'm just hovering that above to see if I've got it randomly placed enough. So because I've got it on the left to the edge, I went to the right there to the edge as well, just so that I didn't have an uneven kind of border look. And that's my mixed media done. So I did use the rest in a different way. I just used it through a stencil on a random piece so that if I could, maybe I'll use it later. Now I've got my photos here, and you can see I've got them up on fun foam, or you might be able to see, and I'm just going to layer them. And I stupidly forgot that I'm layering them on top of each other, not independently, so I forgot to account for this. So I'm cutting off the corners so that I could layer them and have them not all uneven. So on they go, 1, 2, 3, and you can see it's going to be a little bit different to where I first placed them on the page when I did the outline, but you get the idea. And like that's the whole point of marking it out, was that it's had a rough idea, and the texture paste would then dictate where it was going as I'm laying it down. So just adding the 3 on. I really like how the blue is blending in with all the blue in the photos, even though it's not blending so much that you can't see it, but it's not so opposite either that it's standing out so vividly off the page. So I'm just making sure they're glued down. If you've ever watched one of my videos, you will know my texture paste is wet still, so I'm being very careful to make sure that the photos are stuck down without getting that texture paste ruined. So I'm going to start with embellishing, and because it's so the photos take up a whole pile of it, and then the mixed media take up a whole pile of the layout, I don't need to worry about too much of the embellishing, but I certainly wanted something because it needed something, a pop of something. I definitely could have gone with a different mixed media, maybe a stencil or some splatters or something over it before I added the photos, but I decided to keep it with the clean look and then add some embellishment. So I'm using the title Create, and I just love the way it goes from the photo into the mixed media and then out to the white of the paper a bit. Added some of those stars from the same thicker pack, and then I'm adding a thickish doodly border, just one line, and I'm going to work out what the rest is going to be. So I really love these stickers, and I pulled them out first, and I wanted to use a tried, but It's just a paper clip I tried with, but I just wasn't sure. They just weren't the right ones for this one. So I'm going to work on that for the next layout, I'm sure, because I do love them. So just having a look at what die cuts we have. We have a lot of die cuts that have words, and then we have some that have just the icon pictures like this one. So I'm pulling out this one that is the paintbrush water. And yes, if you look closely, he is drawing with a crayon. But that's okay because it's still in the same realm of art. And I will be okay with using that situation on my layout. So I'm going to add one of this Kuros, this flare that Kaiser Craft make, and it's just so lovely. It says handmade. Works so nice. So my sprinkle of embellishments are going to go down the top of the photos there from the left to the right. Well, it's kind of to the middle to the right, isn't it? I don't have anything up on the left, and I don't put anything down the bottom. I did toy with adding some journaling, probably above those stars there, but I couldn't commit to it, so I chickened out and didn't write any journaling. Adding one of those buttons. I was so tempted to add a lot of buttons because those buttons are very cute, but I don't want to use them all, so I just lovingly added one little button. So going through the sticker sheet now, and I'm going to pull out 2 of these paint brushes, and that's going to finish the bottom of the cluster here. So adding them there in a little bit of a, like I've thrown my paintbrushes on the table. That's what it reminds me, randomly but lovingly placed. And I love these puffy words. So if you checked out my unboxing, you will know that the puffy words are to die for. So I'm going to add a couple down here. And I go to put another one up, and I have to hold myself back and say, nope, there's enough going on. I don't need it. So next comes the puffy love hearts. And again, I want to put them all on there, but I stick with just one and control myself indeed. So you can see that this is one of those layouts. Here's where I decide if I want to do journaling. It's one of those layouts where if you add the mixed media to the background, you don't have to add too much more to the layout, and can have a little fun with it that way and getting messy rather than adding all the things and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed that way. Definitely I like to do it that way sometimes, but this way was what spoke to me today, or tonight really. So I'm going to add some Nuvo drops just in some yellow and then some brighter blue. I think this is probably the 2nd or 3rd time I've done Nuvo drops in enamel dot kind of a way, and so forgive me and my inability to do it nicely, but I just think it adds a pop of colour in a loving way. Why is it in a loving way? That's my phrase today apparently. That just makes it stand out, and I like the way it looks. So this is my layout, guys. Thank you for sticking through, and hopefully you've felt inspired and going out and creating something in your scrap room. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Oh, not tomorrow, next week. Bye.